We can now bring in Ian Reifowitz, Professor of History at Empire State College at the State University of New York. Thank you very much for joining us here on France 24. How did we get here?
Well, social conservatives have waited a very long time for this day. One might say that they made a deal with the devil in backing Donald Trump, given his personal behavior, given his history of statements and actions that don't exactly comport with what social conservatives claim to support. But they did make that deal. They backed him. And I guess you can say today that the devil held up his end of the bargain.
What can the Biden administration do to protect women's rights to an abortion?
Not very much. The Supreme Court today threw the decision on abortion back to the states. States like New York, California, and other Democratic-run states can protect abortion rights in those states pretty much completely, as much as they choose to, and they have strong protections in those states. The federal government can't do very much to protect abortion rights in states where it is not currently legal. There are a few things they can do to make it clearer that, for example, women in states that no longer have or will no longer have the right to an abortion can travel to other states without fear of prosecution. There are things they can do in similar aspects involving going across state lines. It doesn't appear that there's that much more that the Biden administration can do at this point to protect the rights of women in the states where abortion is about to be banned or has already been banned with the issuance of this ruling.
Ian, we had a reaction from Nancy Pelosi. Of course, she called the U.S. Supreme Court decision disgusting, I think she said it was. And then she also said that women's rights are on the line in November. They're looking forward to the election. Will a decision like this help the Democrats who are poised to do badly in November's midterms?
I know that we're talking about women's rights here. I don't want to reduce it just to a political question, but this is a democracy, so politics matters. Democrats are poised to do poorly for two reasons. One, they are the party in power. They control the White House, the Senate, and even if it's 50-50, and the House of Representatives. Nothing about today's ruling changes that. Two, they're poised to do poorly because of inflation and other economic questions. Nothing in today's ruling changes that. But what today's ruling does is change the subject, perhaps, for some voters away from those two other aspects. If the election is about the economy and inflation, Biden and the Democrats are going to do poorly. But if voters are thinking to themselves, well, now I've got to vote to do what I can to protect abortion rights, I'm going to vote for Democrats irrespective of inflation, that does help them. Plus, I think this ruling reminds voters in many ways that Democrats really aren't in power, that it's really Republicans and their officials who are in power because they control the Supreme Court. And so it cuts against this notion that, well, I better vote for the Republicans to keep Democrats from getting too much power. Democrats don't have very much power on this issue. There's one other piece that I think affects the election, which is that Democrats are going to be able to run against the Supreme Court, both on abortion rights and on guns. The Supreme Court has been losing the confidence of the American people pretty rapidly in the last few years. And in fact, Gallup just today came out with a poll on this. A record low number of Americans, 25%, down 11% from last year, 36. A record low now believe that now say that they have quite a lot or a great deal of confidence in the Supreme Court, and that's before today's ruling. I think it's only going to go down further. So running against the Supreme Court in November could also help Democrats.
Because I want to ask you finally, on one hand, we had the Biden administration, who, for instance, when it comes to guns, who are putting forward legislation to help improve background checks for the youngest buyers, for instance. But then yesterday we had a Supreme Court decision. So it seems that for every one step forward, you take two steps back. Is that a right assessment?
Yeah, I think you're right. We've seen a number of contradictory things. First of all, yes, Biden can say, look what I did. I brought together a bipartisan coalition on guns. But look at what the Supreme Court did. They knocked down 200 years of precedent. So the Supreme Court is radical. I'm the mainstream. And you have also the Supreme Court being, I guess you could say, contradictory by saying, well, no, the states can't be trusted to make laws about gun rights. But on the other hand, the states can be trusted to make laws on abortion rights. It's a complete hypocrisy on that front, if you want to look at it that way.
Ian Reifowitz, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us on the program today.